Brunello Cucinelli, the man some call the King of Cashmere, built a billion-dollar luxury empire by breaking every rule in the business playbook. In an era now obsessed with quiet luxury, Cucinelli wrote the playbook. He pays his workers 20% above market rate, forces everyone, including executives, to go home at 5:30, bans emails after hours, and runs his entire operation out of a 14th century castle in a hamlet most people have never heard of. By every measure of conventional business wisdom, his company should have failed decades ago. So why hasn't it? To understand that, you have to go back to 1953, to a tiny rural village near Perugia, Italy called Castel Rigone. No electricity, no running water. Cucinelli was born into the kind of poverty most of us only read about. His father was a peasant farmer, his mother sewed at home, and for the first 15 years of his life, that world, quiet, agrarian, ancient, was all he knew. Then, everything changed. When Brunello was 15, his father had to leave the farm and take a job at a cement factory. Every evening, he would come home carrying something heavier than exhaustion. He carried humiliation. Brunello later recalled how painful it was to watch the degradation his father endured, to see his teary eyes and hear him ask, almost to himself, "What have I done wrong in the eyes of God?" That image never left him. It became the foundation of everything he would build. Cucinelli enrolled in engineering school but dropped out at 24. Instead of equations, he turned to philosophy, reading Seneca, Kant, Aristotle. He read voraciously, obsessively, searching for something that textbooks couldn't give him. He was looking for a reason to work that didn't destroy your soul in the process. And in 1978, with the Italian lira equivalent of about $550, he found it. His idea was deceptively simple: colored cashmere. At the time, cashmere, most of it sourced from the high plateaus of Mongolia and inner China, and later used by peers like Loro Piana, came in the same predictable palette: beige, gray, navy. Cucinelli walked into a dye shop and told the expert there that he wanted it to be orange. That was it. That was the revolution. He started making dyed cashmere sweaters for women out of a small workshop, and he knew, with the certainty of a man who had nothing to lose, that he had something. But having something when nobody knows your name still means you have to sell it. And Cucinelli's early marketing strategy was pure audacity. At menswear trade shows, he actually paid people to crowd his booth and pretend to be buyers, overwhelming him with orders. He manufactured the illusion of demand until real demand showed up to replace it. You could call it deceptive. You could also call it genius. By the late 1990s, the company was selling 200,000 sweaters a year. But the real turning point, the move that transformed Brunello Cucinelli from a niche knitwear brand into a global luxury house, came in 1985 when he bought the 14th century castle of Solomeo. Most people would look at a crumbling medieval fortress and see a money pit. Cucinelli saw three things: a beautiful place to work, a monumental building he could use as collateral with banks instead of some soulless industrial facility, and a chance to restore something magnificent. He moved his entire operation there by 1987, and Solomeo became more than a headquarters. It became a philosophy made physical. And this is where his approach starts to look like madness to anyone with an MBA. He pays workers 20% above market wages. The workday ends at 5:30, no exceptions, not even for senior executives. Lunch breaks run 90 minutes. Emails cannot be sent after hours or on weekends. Workers eat in a proper dining area, never at their desks. Conversations happen in hushed tones. Water is drunk from cups, not bottles. None of these rules are written down anywhere. They are simply understood. Production is 100% made in Italy, with around 80% of it happening right there in Umbria. Umbria is a region that hosts over 500 cashmere companies, and some in the trade call it Italy's Cashmere Valley. No outsourcing to cheaper markets, no cutting corners on materials. Operating margins historically sat at 13.8%, well below the industry average of 17%. Analysts looked at those numbers and shook their heads. Only one analyst covering the stock rated it a buy. Luca Solca at Exane BNP Paribas, one of the most closely watched luxury sector analysts in Europe, openly questioned whether the brand had enough substance to maintain its pricing long-term. Harvard Business School wrote an entire case study that essentially asked whether humanistic capitalism actually works, or whether it is just a luxury that success affords. It is a question that ESG investors and B Corp advocates have since framed in their own language, but Cucinelli was living the answer decades before those terms existed. And yet, Cucinelli took the company public in April 2012 at €7.75 per share. The stock hit an all-time high of €133.40 in February of 2025. His personal net worth crossed $4 billion. Annual revenue reached €1.41 billion in 2025, up 11.5% from the prior year. While LVMH reported losses of 4.4% and Kering dropped 15%, Cucinelli kept climbing. Hermès, the one ultra-luxury peer that shares his obsession with scarcity and craftsmanship over volume, also outperformed the broader luxury sector. And analysts increasingly name both houses in the same breath when discussing what genuine pricing power actually looks like. He doubled sales from 2019 to 2024 without changing a single principle. The Americas now account for over 37% of revenue. There are 130 boutiques worldwide. And in 2013, he opened the School of Arts and Crafts in Solomeo. It is worth pausing on, because this institution does not charge tuition. It pays students €700 a month and €1,200 for tailoring students. Cucinelli believes craftsmanship is dying, and the only way to save it is to make learning it financially viable. It is an apprenticeship model, a paid-to-learn framework for preserving the exact skills that justify every price tag his brand commands. He gives 20% of profits to his charitable foundation. In 2018, he sold €100 million worth of shares specifically to fund it. During COVID, the company donated approximately €32 million worth of handcrafted garments to people in need through an initiative called Brunello Cucinelli for Humanity. The man plans in centuries. He told journalist Malik in 2015, "I have 3-year business plans and 30-year business plans, but also 3 centuries business plans." It has not all been smooth. In September 2025, short seller Morpheus Research, staffed by alumni of the notorious Hindenburg Research, published a report alleging the company still operated stores in Russia despite claiming they had closed and was engaging in aggressive discounting. The stock dropped 17% in a single day, its steepest fall on record. CEO Luca Lisandroni called the report defamatory, noting Russian sales had fallen to just 2% of revenue. Cucinelli himself said the company was considering legal action, but even that episode revealed something about the brand's resilience. It weathered the storm. The fundamentals held. When Oscar-winning director Giuseppe Tornatore, who documented Cucinelli's life in the 2022 film A Special Day, known in Italian as Un Giorno Speciale, was filming, he tracked down the farmstead where Brunello grew up. It was largely unchanged, except someone had added electricity. Cucinelli decided on the spot to buy the property and remove it, restoring the place to exactly how it looked when he was a child. He filmed scenes there with actors playing his parents, and later described the experience as deeply poignant. That tells you everything. This is a man who doesn't just remember where he came from. He preserves it, protects it, and builds an empire around the idea that dignity, beauty, and craftsmanship are not relics of a lost world. They are competitive advantages. Brunello Cucinelli should have failed by every spreadsheet, every efficiency model, every quarterly earnings obsession that defines modern business. But he didn't fail, because he understood something the spreadsheets cannot measure. When you treat people with grace, when you build something beautiful, when you refuse to sacrifice your soul for speed, people notice, and they are willing to pay for it. That's not nostalgia. That's the future.